Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear siblings in Islam, dear siblings in the other traditions, and dear everybody, thanks for tuning in again. My name is Christian Ivan Hermann. I am a liberal and openly gay Imam in Berlin, Germany, and the topic I'd like to address today is has been brought to me by one of the brothers. I often get approached in regard to LGBTIQ topics, in regard to gender topics, these kind of things, and I'd like to talk about one of the aspects of LGBTIQ within Islam, so to say. So the point is today, the topic is what about the so-called people of Lut? Who was that? And who was? I think. Wait a second. Yeah, I forgot to tune off the the video, the sounds on the video. So the topic today, as I said, it was about, is about the story of not the story of Lut, but the people of Lut. Who were they? Were they gay? And these kind of things. So I don't want to go into the theological, like into the verses, but I'd like to explain a little bit about what we in general know about people, as a word, and people as a like a group thing, and these kind of things. So the point is, when a lot of people like to talk about the people of Lut, as if they were actually totally related to Lut, the prophet. But actually, Lut, actually, it was a more these were more people from Sodom, and we know that there was another city or place called Gomorrah. So actually, the name for the group of people living in Sodom, and when we say, oh, these were the people of Lut. Well, okay, Lut was responsible, so to say, for for Sodom. He was sent there, but they were not originating from him. So when somebody is coming over and saying, well, okay, well, the people of Lut, we should more refer to the people of Sodom, or of these kind of things. So that's the first thing. That's what I really like to say. Then the next point is, we are talking about the people of Lut or Sodom. That means it always sounds like, oh well, they are all the same, and they are of a specific race. They are of a specific human race, and they are not. They are humans. It's like perhaps it was a sort of clan or tribe or something like that, but we don't know so much about that. But in the end, it was not a sort of race. We would not be able to specify that. Besides, the idea of different human races is a very, well, we could discuss about that a lot. I don't want to discuss that right now, but telling people, depicting a group as a people, a sort of a race, is like totally, in my opinion, is totally unprofessional. Yeah, we can't say, oh well, there was a we can say perhaps that the tribe of Sodom, or the people, like the the inhabitants of Sodom. But we don't know how many people there were from the different tribes and from which tribes and whatever. We don't know that. So we should not unify everything. We should not label everything like a one group. So that's the second thing I'd like to talk about, that the people of Lut. And so so the big question is who were those people, who were those humans living in Sodom, doing things. And actually we don't know so much about them, but we know a little bit. They seem to be a very fighting and aggressive, fighting oriented group of people. They actively did seek war. They actively tried to influence the surrounding area. They started conflicts and wars. And by doing so, what they did was they wanted to have more land. So what they actually did was, during those wars, they would conquer areas and they would rape the men of the other villages or groups in order to subdue them. So that was a very, very aggressive. They were very, very aggressive, and they were very, very keen on conquering people, and actually on dominating people, and even doing sexual violence against them. So, and we know also that the people in Sodom, they worshipped Ishtar, an old goddess, which was responsible for the topics of fertility, but also for war. So, and therefore, one of the things they also did was to do ritualistic rapes in the temple there, and they also had the custom of raping somebody who is coming of age, like being an adult now. Men and women, young men, young women, they were raped as a gift to God, as the first sexual intercourse should have been should be for the goddess. And of course, they were no monotheists. They were not in the belief of Allah, and so they were polytheists. And we know very much that there is a lot of criticism and a lot of not conflict, but a lot of criticism in Quran saying, "Oh well, polytheism is not such a good thing." So, and the monotheism in regard to Allah is the thing you should do. So, and actually, the reason why Lut was there in Sodom was that he was sent there by his uncle Abraham and by Allah, by God, in order to bring the idea of monotheism, of Abrahamitic monotheism, to Sodom. And he failed, actually. I mean, those people, those guys, those persons, those humans were really resistant in that regard. They really did not treat Lut very well, and he was ignored, and he was also bullied there. So so the question, the Muslim brother who asked the question, he also asked, well, the people of Lot, the human people, like the persons who lived in Sodom, were they straight men, or were they gay, or were they married, and these kind of things. So the point was, when we read into Quran and also in the Torah verses, we can find out a little bit about that. They obviously had a problematic relationship in regard to sort of marriage, or to in regard to monogamous relationships. So obviously they um, had a lot of sex without being in a permanent relationship. So there was a lot of fooling around in that time, and actually that was also, we can read that we that was one of the things Lut was proposing to them. Don't fool around. Just get yourself married, so to say. Get yourself a clear relationship, then it's okay. So from my point of view, they were most of them were straight men. I mean, besides the women who were there, they were straight women, because we really know that. I mean, the society of gay men, so like a whole town or a whole race of gay men being punished. This is like total bullshit. I'm sorry. This is not very sensible. There's no sense in that. Such a city could not survive because there are no families and no children and these kind of things. And I never heard about such a place. So and we don't have a mention of that in Quran or in other sources. So the point is that from my perspective, there were gay or bisexual or lesbian or transsexual people, persons, humans in living in Sodom. I guess so. But they actually it they were not the major the they were in a minority, as always. I mean, there was never a like, oh well, they are all gay. Well, how could that be? It's not possible. um so the point is, from my point of view, well, I'm talking, of course, from my point of view. Of course, I'm talking about from my perspective, what I see in the sources. But actually, I'm not the only one who sees that, and we need to see also the sources that are not only in Quran. We have scriptures from Herodot, who gives us a little bit insight into Sodom and the society there. We don't know a lot, but what we know is um, actually the all those loot verses in Quran. They are not about the relate how ordering, bringing relationships, like sexual relationships, into order. This the story of Lut, or the story of Sodom, is about punishing people who did really horrible things, and it was in the Meccan surahs. That means those surahs were mainly about faith and monotheism um, and the conflicts surrounding with polytheism as well. So, from my perspective, the people of Sodom were not punished because they were gay or they were sexual engaged with each other. They were punished because they did horrible crimes, and they did not accept monotheism, although they were granted a prophet. And something there is another story about this kind of topic. That's the story of Noah. The flood coming because the people would not follow the rules of God. and God would cleanse the earth and give Noah and his family the opportunity to start over together with a lot of animals. That's the story. So, dear brother, I hope that I could clarify a little bit. From my perspective, the humans living in Sodom at that time were not, that was not a gay city, but it was a war city. Actually, it was a pre, how would I say that? A pre an antique city of a tribe or more than one tribe, and they were very aggressive and were doing horrible and very aggressive things. They did make a lot of war. They did ritual and also um, war-related sexual abuse to other people, and yeah, so that was the background, the humans of Sodom, and so blaming a whole city being gay, and therefore being punished. Actually, that's actually also a rather modern approach. I did not find any interpretation in very classical um, commentaries. I did not find that there. This is a modern. I would say actually, I would say it's a framing, um, and that framing mainly started being promoted when Arab countries accepted the laws from British colonialists. So yeah, I will make it a separate video about that. So basically, the question was, were they straight married men, or just straight men, or were they gay or whatever? And let's don't we should not forget there were many women as well. Normally, these were normal small cities. Of tribes, and they were doing a lot of horrible things. And there may be gay men, but it's not actually really touched. You couldn't actually you cannot read that in the verses, in the lewd verses. And the one verse which says, "Oh well, they went. Why do the men approach men and not women?" This is actually not clear if it's in regard to sexual activities, or in regard to relationships, or in a different way, because the word women was mentioned and not wives. Important thing. So if we usually, when Quran talks about relationships, how a husband and a wife should interact, and how it should be dealt with, and these kind of things, they usually they usually, or not they, but Quran usually talks about wives and not about women. When Quran talks about women, it's not in a sexual or in a regard to relationship way. So from my point of view, it is unclear, at least unclear, if that has something to do with sexual or relationship topics. In my opinion, it has not, and there's no evidence that it has. So it's a very large stretch. What I say is it's a very large stretch if somebody is talking about, well, those were all gay and therefore they got punished. That's a very stretch. And actually, I mean, although I did a liberal inclusive Imam training, I learned classical stuff, and you don't get taught that. You do not get taught about that. Actually, the topic is not so much covered so much usually. But that's a different topic. Well, okay, thank you so much right now. I'd like to close the whole thing now. I see that I had some guests during the time I made that video on Facebook as a live video, and it will be uploaded on my YouTube channel in the section for English language videos. So it would be awesome if you would if you would visit my YouTube page, and it would be awesome if you would subscribe my channel, because then I can get, when I have enough subscriptions, I can apply for an own channel name. That would be helpful, and it would be awesome if you would share that video and discuss it with friends. You can put comments under the video. I am very, very much open to discuss the story of Lut, the story of Sodom, and these kind of things, because we all know LGBTIQ topics are really, they are not, perhaps not the most important topic on earth, but they are important for the people who concerns it, and we need to deal. We need to deal with the topic. We need to talk about it. We need to put the topic on the list of the theological tasks we have to do, and I'm sort of fighting for that, inshallah, and we need to discuss it, and we can be different. We can have different opinions in that. That's not a problem at all, in my opinion. From my point of view, we can have different opinions, but the most important thing is that we are actually able to talk about it, and that would be helpful, because there are a lot of LGBTIQ, a lot of queer Muslims out there who suffer by discrimination and violence and death threats and these kind of things, and we need to end that. So, if you would, if you liked that video, please leave a thumb up, or a heart, or whatever. You can comment. I will try to answer, or if you have a topic you would like to get covered in a future video, just tell me, and I will try to do that. I wish you all the best. May the peace and the love and the light of Allah be with you. Have a wonderful day, night, whenever you see this. Have a good time. Be blessed, and contact me if you need any help. Thank you very much, and Salaam aleykum. Thank you.